Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The funeral home is eerily quiet tonight, the way it always is during the late shift. Shadows from the dim lighting stretch long across the floor, giving the already somber place an even more unsettling atmosphere. My wife, Laura, has been working here for the past 3 years, handling the night shift almost exclusively. It's a job that never really seemed to bother her. After all, how much could happen at a funeral home during the dead of night? But lately, she's seemed more distant, more secretive. Maybe it's just the stress of working nights. Or maybe it's something more. Tonight, I decide to surprise her with a visit. I'm hoping to bring a little excitement to her shift and maybe spend some time together. As I pull into the parking lot, I notice her car is the only one here, which makes sense considering the hour. I grab the bag of takeout I brought and head inside, the cold night air biting at my neck as I step into the warmth of the funeral home. The front door creaks as it closes behind me, the sound echoing through the empty halls. I make my way through the reception area, glancing at the time on my phone. It's just past midnight. Laura should be in the back, probably in the prep room or the office. Laura. I call out softly, not wanting to startle her. There's no response. I frown, listening for any sign of movement, but all I hear is the faint hum of the ventilation system. I start to walk down the corridor, my footsteps muted by the thick carpet. The smell of antiseptic and flowers mingles in the air, a combination I've come to associate with this place. As I pass by one of the viewing rooms, something catches my attention. A low, strange noise, almost like a muffled moan, followed by a soft laugh. My heart skips a beat, and I stop in my tracks, straining to hear more. The sound is coming from further down the hall, near the prep room. My pulse quickens as I approach, my mind racing with possibilities. Maybe she's just watching something on her phone to pass the time. But why would she be doing that in one of the viewing rooms? I reach the door to the prep room, the noises now clearer but still indistinct. They seem to be coming from one of the caskets. My breath catches in my throat as I see a red coffin standing out among the others. The lid is slightly ajar, and the sounds are definitely coming from inside. For a moment, I consider leaving. This feels wrong, like I'm about to intrude on something private, something I shouldn't see. But curiosity and a gnawing sense of dread push me forward. I grip the edge of the coffin lid, my fingers trembling. With a swift motion, I push the lid open. What I see inside makes my blood run cold. Laura, my wife, is there, half naked and entangled with a man dressed in a ridiculous vampire costume. They both freeze, their eyes wide with shock and guilt. The man scrambles to cover himself, while Laura's face flushes with shame. "James," she gasps, trying to pull herself together. "I can explain." "Explain?" I echo, my voice barely more than a whisper. "What is there to explain, Laura? You're cheating on me. Here. In a coffin." The man, still fumbling with his costume, stammers, "Look, man, this isn't what it looks like." "Save it," I snap, cutting him off. "Just get out. Both of you." Laura's eyes fill with tears, but I'm beyond caring. Betrayal slices through me, hot and sharp. I back away, turning on my heel and heading for the door. I hear Laura calling after me, but I don't stop. I can't. As I reach the car, the cool night air does little to calm the storm raging inside me. I sit behind the wheel, my hands gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turn white. The image of Laura and that man in the coffin is seared into my mind, a grotesque mockery of the life we've built together. She's been unfaithful. And not just unfaithful, but in the most disrespectful way imaginable. In her place of work, in a coffin meant for the dead. I drive home in a daze, my mind whirling with thoughts of revenge, of how to make her pay for this betrayal. By the time I pull into our driveway, a plan is beginning to form. It's petty, it's vindictive, but right now, it's all I can think about. I won't let her get away with this. She's ruined our marriage, and I'll ruin her career. By the time I'm done, she'll have nothing left. I step out of the car, the night's chill wrapping around me like a shroud. The house looms before me, dark and silent. It feels different now, like a stranger's home. I take a deep breath and walk inside, already planning my next move. This is just the beginning. Laura has no idea what's coming. The morning sun filters through the curtains, casting a warm glow over the living room. I sit on the couch, my mind still reeling from the events of last night. Laura hasn't come home, and I'm not sure if I'm relieved or more furious because of it. My phone buzzes incessantly on the coffee table, but I ignore it. I can't deal with anyone right now. I lean back, running my hands through my hair, and take a deep breath. It's time to move forward with my plan. First things first, I need to gather information. I grab my phone and dial the number of my friend, Kevin. He's a private investigator and one of the few people I can trust. Hey, James. What's up? Kevin's voice comes through, cheerful and unsuspecting. Kevin, I need your help, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. It's about Laura. There's a pause on the other end of the line. What happened? I give him a brief rundown of last night's events, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and betrayal. Kevin listens intently, not interrupting. Meet me at Joe's diner in an hour, he finally says. We'll figure this out. Thanks, Kev. I hang up and head to the bedroom to change. I catch a glimpse of our wedding photo on the dresser, and a pang of sorrow hits me. I rip the picture out of the frame and throw it in the trash. There's no going back now. Joe's diner is bustling with the morning crowd when I arrive. Kevin is already seated in a corner booth, nursing a cup of coffee. His sharp eyes meet mine as I slide into the seat across from him. Rough night, huh? He says, pushing a cup of coffee toward me. You have no idea, I mutter, taking a sip. The bitterness of the coffee mirrors the bitterness inside me. I need to know everything about this guy she's with. Who he is, how long it's been going on, everything. Kevin nods, pulling out a small notebook. Describe him to me. Mid-30s, tall, dark hair. He was wearing a vampire costume, if that helps, I say, my voice tinged with sarcasm. Kevin chuckles. A vampire, huh? Classy. I give him a wry smile. Yeah, real classy. Alright, I'll get on it. In the meantime, what's your plan? I lean in, lowering my voice. I want to ruin her. She's wrecked our marriage, and I won't let her get away with it. I want her to lose her job, her reputation, everything. Kevin's eyes narrow. That's a tall order, but I'll help you. You sure about this, James? I nod, resolute. Absolutely. As we finish our conversation, a familiar face enters the diner. It's Sarah, Laura's best friend. She spots me and waves, her face lighting up with a smile. I plaster on a smile and wave back, feeling a surge of determination. If I'm going to pull this off, I'll need to keep up appearances. Hey, James. Sarah says cheerfully as she approaches our booth. How's it going? Hey, Sarah, I reply, trying to sound casual. Just catching up with Kevin here. How are you? Oh, you know, same old, she says, her eyes flicking between Kevin and me. Everything okay? Yeah, just some work stuff, I lie smoothly. You know how it is. Sarah nods, but I can see a flicker of suspicion in her eyes. Well, if you need anything, you know where to find me. Thanks, Sarah, I say, watching her walk away. I turn back to Kevin. We need to be careful. Sarah's pretty sharp. If she catches wind of this, she'll tell Laura. Kevin nods. Got it. I'll keep a low profile. As I leave the diner, I feel a sense of grim satisfaction. The pieces are falling into place. I head home, my mind racing with plans and possibilities. When I walk through the front door, I find Laura sitting on the couch, her eyes red from crying. The sight of her ignites a fresh wave of anger. James, please, let me explain, she begins, her voice breaking. I hold up a hand, cutting her off. Save it, Laura. I don't want to hear your excuses. James, it was a mistake. I was lonely, and he. I don't care. I shout, the words echoing through the house. You betrayed me in the worst possible way. There's no coming back from this. She sobs, burying her face in her hands. I stand there, feeling a twisted sense of satisfaction. Let her cry. She deserves it. I turn on my heel and head to the bedroom, slamming the door behind me. I grab my laptop and start typing, sending out emails to Laura's colleagues, hinting at her inappropriate behavior. It's a small start, but it's something. The rest of the day passes in a blur. Laura leaves for her shift, and I feel a sense of relief. I spend the evening on the phone with Kevin, planning our next move. He's found out that the man from the coffin works at a nightclub downtown, and we plan to confront him. The next night, Kevin and I head to the nightclub. The thumping bass and flashing lights make my head spin, but I push through the crowd, my eyes scanning for the man. We find him near the bar, chatting up a couple of women. Hey, buddy, I say, tapping him on the shoulder. He turns, surprise flickering across his face. You. I grab him by the collar, pulling him close. We need to talk. Outside. Now. Kevin and I drag him out the back door, into the alley. He tries to pull away, but Kevin's grip is like iron. What do you want? He snarls. I want answers, I say, my voice cold. Who are you? How long have you been seeing my wife? He laughs, a harsh, mocking sound. Your wife. She didn't mention she was married. Liar. I snap, shoving him against the wall. Tell me the truth. All right, he says, holding up his hands. My name's Derek. We've been seeing each other for a few months. I didn't know she was married, I swear. I step back, my fists clenched. Stay away from her, Derek. If I see you near her again, you'll regret it. He nods, fear flickering in his eyes. Got it. I'm done with her. Kevin and I leave him there, trembling in the alley. As we walk away, I feel a sense of grim satisfaction. It's a small victory, but it's a start. Back at home, I find Laura waiting for me, her eyes puffy and red. She stands as I enter, wringing her hands. James, please. Can we talk? I shake my head. There's nothing to talk about, Laura. We're done. I want you out of this house by the end of the week. She gasps, her face crumpling with fresh tears. James, please. Don't do this. It's too late, I say, my voice cold and final. Pack your things and go. As I watch her break down, a part of me feels a twinge of regret. But I push it aside. This is what she deserves. This is only the beginning of her downfall. And I won't stop until she's lost everything. The house is quieter than ever. Laura has moved out, taking only her essentials. There are no more tears or pleas for forgiveness, just the cold, empty silence of a once happy home now turned into a battleground. I sit in the living room, my thoughts consumed with the next steps. I've managed to create ripples, but now it's time to create waves. I dial Kevin's number again. His help has been invaluable, and I need his expertise to escalate things further. James, what's the plan today? Kevin asks, his voice calm and businesslike. We need to dig deeper, I say, pacing the room. I want to find out if there are any skeletons in Laura's closet at work. Any mistakes, any slip-ups. Something we can use to get her fired. Kevin is silent for a moment. All right. I'll start looking into her colleagues and see if anyone's willing to talk. Maybe someone holds a grudge or has seen something suspicious. Good, I reply, feeling a surge of determination. And I'll focus on her boss. If I can get him on our side, it'll make things easier. After hanging up, I head to the kitchen and pour myself a cup of coffee. The house feels so different now, every corner a reminder of Laura's betrayal. But I push those thoughts aside and focus on the task at hand. I need to ruin her career, and I won't stop until she's left with nothing. I arrive at the funeral home just before Laura's shift is due to start. Her boss, Mr. Henderson, is in his office, his door slightly ajar. I take a deep breath and knock. Come in, he calls out. I step inside, my face set in a mask of determination. Mr. Henderson, do you have a moment? He looks up from his paperwork, his expression curious. James, right? Laura's husband. Ex-husband, actually, I correct, taking a seat. I need to talk to you about Laura. He raises an eyebrow. All right. What's this about? I lean forward, my voice low and urgent. Laura has been involved in some inappropriate behavior at work. I've already caught her in a compromising situation with another man here. I don't want to cause trouble, but I think you should know what's been happening. Mr. Henderson's eyes widen, and he sits back in his chair, processing the information. That's a serious accusation, James. I have proof, I say, pulling out my phone and showing him the photo I took of Laura and Derek in the coffin. This was taken 2 nights ago. He examines the photo, his expression hardening. This is unacceptable. I had no idea. I thought you should know, I say, my tone earnest. I don't want the funeral home's reputation to suffer because of her actions. Mr. Henderson nods, a stern look on his face. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I'll handle it. As I leave his office, I feel a sense of triumph. The first domino has fallen. Now, it's just a matter of time before the rest follow suit. That evening, I meet Kevin at a quiet bar downtown. He's already seated at a corner table, nursing a beer. How'd it go? He asks as I sit down. I think I got through to her boss, I say, a satisfied smile on my face. He's going to look into it. Good, Kevin replies, clinking his bottle against mine. And I've got some dirt on her colleagues. Turns out, she's not exactly popular around the office. There's been talk about her taking long breaks, disappearing during shifts, and being generally unreliable. Perfect, I say, my mind racing. If we can get her coworkers to speak out, it'll add fuel to the fire. Kevin nods. I'll start reaching out to them, see if anyone's willing to talk. As we continue to discuss our plans, I can't help but feel a growing sense of satisfaction. Laura's world is starting to crumble, and I'm the one holding the wrecking ball. The next day, I get a call from Mr. Henderson. He sounds grim. James, can you come to the funeral home? We need to talk. I arrive within the hour, finding him waiting in his office. His expression is serious, and I can tell things have escalated. James, I've spoken to Laura and the man you mentioned, he begins. She didn't deny the incident, but she claims it was a one-time mistake. However, given her history and the complaints from her colleagues, I'm considering terminating her employment. I nod, feeling a surge of vindication. I think that's the right call, Mr. Henderson. She's proven to be unreliable and untrustworthy. He sighs, rubbing his temples. It's a difficult decision, but I have to think about the integrity of the funeral home. I'll be discussing it with the board tomorrow. Thank you, I say, standing to leave. I appreciate you taking this seriously. As I step out of the office, I see Laura down the hall, talking to one of her coworkers. She looks stressed, her eyes darting around nervously. When she sees me, her face pales, and she quickly turns away. The sight of her discomfort brings me a twisted sense of satisfaction. She knows her time is running out. That night, I get another call from Kevin. He sounds excited. James, I've got some good news. One of Laura's coworkers, a guy named Tom, is willing to talk. He's seen her sneaking around and taking suspicious breaks. He's agreed to give a statement. That's great, Kevin, I say, feeling another piece of the puzzle fall into place. Let's meet him tomorrow and get everything we need. The next day, Kevin and I meet Tom at a coffee shop near the funeral home. He's a nervous-looking guy, fidgeting with his cup as we sit down. Tom, thanks for meeting us, I say, trying to put him at ease. We just need to know what you've seen. Tom nods, glancing around before speaking. I've seen Laura sneaking out during her shifts, meeting with a guy in the parking lot. She's been late more times than I can count, and she's always making excuses. Would you be willing to give a statement to Mr. Henderson? Kevin asks, leaning forward. Tom hesitates but then nods. Yeah, I can do that. I don't want to work with someone like her anymore. Thank you, Tom, I say, relief flooding through me. You're doing the right thing. With Tom's statement in hand, Kevin and I head back to the funeral home. We find Mr. Henderson in his office, looking more stressed than ever. Mr. Henderson, we have another witness who's willing to speak out, I say, presenting Tom's statement. This should be enough to make your decision. He reads through the statement, his face growing darker with each line. This is damning. I'll be presenting this to the board immediately. As we leave the office, I can't help but feel a sense of triumph. Laura's downfall is almost complete, and there's no turning back now. Later that evening, I get a call from Mr. Henderson. James, the board has decided to terminate Laura's employment effective immediately. Thank you for your assistance. I hang up the phone, a cold smile spreading across my face. It's done. Laura's career is in ruins, and she has no one to blame but herself. As I sit back, savoring my victory, I realize that this is just the beginning. Laura has taken so much from me, and now it's my turn to take everything from her. The next steps are clear. I'll make sure she loses her reputation, her friends, and whatever semblance of a life she tries to build from here on out. The game is far from over, and I'm just getting started. The next few days pass in a whirlwind. The news of Laura's termination spreads quickly, and the fallout is swift. Her colleagues whisper behind her back, her friends distance themselves, and she is left to face the consequences of her actions alone. I watch it all unfold from a distance, a mix of satisfaction and vindication swirling inside me. Kevin calls me one evening with an update. James, it's done. Laura's out, and the board has made sure everyone knows why. Good, I reply, the weight of my revenge finally lifting. I appreciate everything you've done, Kevin. No problem, he says, pausing before continuing. But there's something else. I found out some information that you might want to know. What is it? I ask, my curiosity piqued. Meet me at the diner in an hour. I'll explain everything then. I hang up, my mind racing. What more could there be? I drive to the diner, my thoughts bouncing between relief and curiosity. Kevin is already there, seated at our usual booth, a serious look on his face. "James, there's something you need to see," he says, sliding a folder across the table. I open it and find photographs, receipts, and emails. As I go through them, my heart sinks. It's evidence of a long-standing affair, but not just between Laura and Derek. There are emails from another man, and pictures of Laura meeting him at various locations. What is this? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. "It's proof that Laura's been cheating on you for a lot longer than you thought," Kevin says grimly. "She's been seeing multiple men behind your back." But that's not the worst part. It turns out that Derek and the others were part of a setup. A setup? I echo, feeling a cold chill run down my spine. "Yeah," Kevin nods. "Someone's been orchestrating this whole thing. Making sure you found out in the worst possible way. They wanted you to see her with Derek in that coffin." "Who would do that?" I ask, my mind reeling. Kevin takes a deep breath. "James, I think you should talk to Sarah. I have a feeling she knows more than she's letting on." Sarah. Laura's best friend. The thought of her being involved in this makes my blood boil. I thank Kevin and leave the diner, my mind set on confronting Sarah. I drive to Sarah's apartment, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. When I arrive, I pound on her door, my anger barely contained. "James," she says, opening the door, surprise and confusion on her face. "What are you doing here?" "We need to talk," I say, pushing past her into the apartment. "James, what's going on?" she asks, closing the door behind me. I turn to face her, my eyes blazing. "I know about the setup, Sarah. I know you've been involved in this. Why would you do this to me?" Her face pales, and she takes a step back. "James, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me." I shout, my voice echoing through the apartment. "I have proof. Kevin found everything. The pictures, the emails. You orchestrated this whole thing." Tears fill her eyes, and she sinks onto the couch. "James, please, let me explain." "Explain what?" "How you betrayed me. How you ruined my life. It wasn't supposed to be like this," she sobs. "I just wanted to protect you." "Protect me?" "By making me believe my wife was cheating on me. By setting up elaborate scenarios to break my heart." Sarah wipes her tears, trying to compose herself. "James, Laura has been cheating on you for years. I found out and confronted her, but she didn't care. I wanted you to know the truth, but I knew you wouldn't believe me without solid proof. So you decided to create the proof," I say, my voice filled with bitterness. She nods, looking defeated. "I thought if you saw her with someone else, you'd finally see her for who she really is. I never meant for it to go this far. You destroyed my marriage, Sarah. You turned my life into a nightmare. I'm sorry, James. I was trying to help." "Well, congratulations," I say, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "You've succeeded." I turn and leave her apartment, the weight of betrayal heavy on my shoulders. As I drive home, my mind races with thoughts of Laura, Sarah, and the mess my life has become. When I get home, I find Laura waiting for me. She looks exhausted, her eyes red from crying. "James, please," she begins, but I hold up a hand to stop her. "Save it, Laura. I know everything. About the other men, about Sarah's setup. I know it all." Her face crumples, and she collapses onto the couch, sobbing. "I'm so sorry, James. I never meant for any of this to happen." "Sorry doesn't change anything," I say, my voice cold. "You've destroyed our marriage, our life together. There's nothing left to say. Please, James. I'll do anything to make it right." You can't make this right, I say, turning away. We're done, Laura. I want you out of my life for good. She sobs harder, but I walk away, leaving her to her grief. I go to the bedroom and start packing my things. I can't stay here any longer. This house is filled with too many memories, too much pain. As I pack, I realize that this is the end. Laura and I are finished. Sarah is out of my life. There's no going back, no fixing what's been broken. The betrayal runs too deep, the wounds too fresh. I load my bags into the car and take one last look at the house. It's just a building now, a shell of what it used to be. I get in the car and drive away, the weight of the past finally lifting from my shoulders. As I drive into the night, I think about what Kevin said. About moving on, about finding a new path. It won't be easy, but it's the only choice I have. The road ahead is uncertain, but it's mine to travel. And for the first time in a long time, I feel a glimmer of hope. A chance to start over, to build a new life from the ashes of the old. Laura and I will never see each other again. Our lives are forever divided by the chasm of betrayal and deceit. But in the end, I know I've made the right choice. I drive on, leaving the past behind and looking toward the future.